In Kenya, there's this huge, almost invisible gap between what politicians are talking about and what the country's youth are actually living through. So today, we're going to dive into what young Kenyans really want. And the answer? Well, it reveals a pretty deep disconnect right at the heart of the nation. It really all comes down to this one simple but powerful question. In Swahili, it asks, today, do I want ideology or do I want a job? Seriously, when a young Kenyan wakes up in the morning, what's the first thing on their mind? That choice right there frames everything we're about to get into. And that question leads us straight into our first section, the Great Disconnect. We're going to break down this massive clash between the promises being made from on high and the real world, on-the-ground priorities of an entire generation. So on one side, you've got the standard political playbook, right? The big speeches, the handshakes for the cameras, the trending hashtags, the usual song and dance. But on the other side, you have this one simple, powerful demand from young people. Just give us a future that makes sense. They're not asking for complicated theories. They just want a life that actually works. Okay, so what's that reality on the ground actually look like? Well, a lot of it is defined by something you could call the experience paradox, and it's a frustrating cycle that I'm sure a lot of graduates will recognize immediately. Picture this. You've done everything you were supposed to do. You studied hard, you got your degree, maybe even a master's. You have that piece of paper in your hand, you're ready, you're hopeful, and you are so prepared to start your career. And then, bam, you hit a brick wall. The very first hurdle is the job ad itself. Almost every single entry-level job is asking for 3 to 5 years of experience. It's the ultimate catch-22. How are you supposed to get experience if you can't get a job to get the experience in the first place? And this quote just captures the complete absurdity of it all. You can just feel the frustration in that question. Where are you supposed to get this experience from? Pluck it out of thin air? It feels like the whole system is designed to lock you out before you even get a chance to knock. So, if the formal job market is a dead end, what do? You get creative. You try to create your own opportunities. But that's when you run into another huge problem, a system that seems designed to punish your initiative, not reward it. Let's just walk through the typical hustler's journey. You start a small business online. Maybe you're selling stuff on Instagram. And hey, it starts working. Orders are coming in, you're building something. But just when you start to get some momentum, the bureaucracy shows up. The KRA, county officers. Suddenly you're getting buried under a mountain of paperwork, licenses, penalties. Often before you've even turned a real profit, you're just drowning in red tape. So you have to ask yourself, is this a system that's trying to help young people get on their feet? Or is it actively working against anyone who tries to build something for themselves? More and more, it really feels like the second one. And all of this brings us to what's at the very core of the issue, the actual demand. And you know what? It isn't a request for a miracle or a handout. It's a really basic demand for just possibility. And it's not complicated at all. Look, this is what it boils down to. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about the absolute basics of a stable life, a job that pays a decent wage, a fair shot that's based on what you know, not who you know. Loans that actually help you grow instead of crushing you, and rules that are clear and fair. All of it adds up to one thing, the ability to simply plan a life. And that right there is the true human cost of all this. We're not just talking about economics, we're talking about the biggest decisions in a person's life. How can you even think about getting married or renting a decent place or having kids when your income feels totally random, like a miracle? It makes the future feel impossible. So when a system consistently fails to provide even these basic possibilities, you get a pretty predictable result. People check out politically. But don't mistake this for simple apathy. It's actually a form of silent protest. I mean, think about it. Every single election, you hear the exact same promises. We're going to create jobs for the youth. We will empower the youth. But fast forward 5 years, and what's changed? It's the same old song, maybe with a slightly different beat. That cycle creates a cynicism that's not just deep, it's completely rational. So when you see young people not showing up to vote, it's so easy to just label it apathy and move on. But we really need to reframe that. It's not that they don't care, it's a conscious choice. It's a silent protest against a system they believe won't deliver for them no matter who's in charge. I mean, why would you stand in a queue all day for more of the same broken promises? Which brings us to our final and most critical question. Is anyone in a position of power actually listening? Because the real cost of this broken system isn't just about politics. It's about stolen time and stolen futures. Corruption isn't some abstract idea you read about in the newspaper. For young people, it's a deeply personal experience. Nepotism isn't just a word. It's the job you are perfect for going to the boss's cousin. Bribery is being told you need to pay a fee just to get an unpaid internship. This stuff is personal and it hurts. And this right here is maybe the most critical takeaway of all. Yeah, corruption steals money. But for a young person, the most precious thing they have is time. And when you're 30 years old and still stuck in the same place you should have been at 23, that stolen time turns from simple frustration into real deep anger. And there's just this massive cultural disconnect too. This generation is digitally native. They learn skills on YouTube, they start businesses on TikTok, they network on Twitter, and they organize on WhatsApp. So when leaders talk like it's 1998 and think a wheelbarrow is some kind of youth empowerment, it just shows they really don't get it. They're speaking a completely different language. So if you boil it all down, the message is actually crystal clear. Young Kenyans aren't asking for power, they're asking for possibility. They're not asking for special favors, they're demanding fairness. And they are so tired of promises, they just want to see some delivery. Simple as that. And that leaves us with this one final hanging question. The demands are clear. The stakes couldn't be higher, and an entire generation's future is on the line. Are the people in power actually listening to this reality on the ground, or are they just talking to themselves? The answer to that is going to define Kenya's future.